Welcome to another program in our series, Candidate Forum. My name is Bill Weir, serving as producer and host, and I'm delighted to welcome my guest today, Irene Fernando.
Nice to meet you. See you.
And vote Irene. And you're a candidate that's DFL endorsed, and you won the primary, and for Hennepin County Commissioner District 2. That's a big job.
Yes, it's a very big job.
And you're a first-time candidate,
I am.
but you're making quite a splash.
Thank you. I'm trying my hardest.
I think I understand you're the only woman of color to have earned the DFL endorsement for the county's Board of Commissioners. And should you win, you'll be the first person of color on the county board.
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're opening up a channel for a broader representation of the public.
Yeah, well, definitely hoping so. I mean, a lot of why I'm running is because I want to expand who sees themselves in the story of the county, in the story of leadership, in the story of politics. And this layer of government is incredibly important. The county board or the county commission is involved in our everyday lives, and so I want to bring the stories and narratives that I hold in my heart and that have helped shape me and help make me the person I am today. I want to make sure that those stories and narratives make it to the decision-making table so that more people see themselves in this story and as a part of the county.
Good. And do you want to tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So again, my name is Irene Fernando. I am running to be the next Hennepin County Commissioner in District 2. I grew up in a household where we wanted to believe in what's possible. Both of my parents immigrated from the Philippines into this country with this belief that if we worked really hard and served our communities, that incredible things could happen. And so I carry that with me today. They've really shown in how they brought me up and in the opportunities I've been afforded. They've shown me that there is immense power in both honoring and creating tradition, and that's what I hope we can do here on the county level. So Hennepin County, really briefly, is 45 cities, and it's organized into 7 districts. Each district elects 1 county commissioner each, and this group of 7 oversees a $2.4 billion budget on our behalf. And for the most part, this layer of government often goes overlooked. And so I've, for the last year, have been running to increase the visibility of this layer of government, to raise the profile of the county layer of government. And I'm very, very excited and motivated to make sure that we're working across all communities, across all layers, to improve the lives for those who live, work, and play in Hennepin County.
Well, that's a big responsibility.
It is, yeah.
I hope you're well enough paid.
Yes, I think compensation is actually something that I do in my day job. I am at a corporation, and previous to that, I co-founded a nonprofit that I led for about a dozen years. So compensation is an important topic, especially because not all portions of government are necessarily paid, in my opinion, equal to the amount of impact that they're making in our communities. So this is a full-time job. That's a common question. This is a full-time job. And I would get a staff of 2, and so each commissioner has a staff, and I do believe that we get appropriately paid for the responsibility.
Good. And you come out to meet with your constituents from time to time. What kind of events do you like to come to?
Yes, I love community events. For me, community events are when the whole family, if you will, is able to attend an event together. I think that's a really important part of being with people and making sure that we're hearing things that matter to all different ages and backgrounds, economic statuses, and I find that to be the most energizing for me personally, because young people need to see themselves in the story of politics just as much as people who are older. And I believe that there are ways that all people can see how we're making decisions for the betterment of each community, but then the collective as a whole. And I think part of that is taking the time to be in the communities, hearing what's exciting people, but also what might be causing them concern. And being able to really feel that and empathize with that, I think, is an important part of leadership and should be a big part of being a politician.
Yes, the kind of politician we want.
Yes, yes, I hope to be that.
And so many people say the word politician in a derogatory way.
Right.
I think you're going to show the way to a positive meaning of politician.
I do hope so.
And this seat is opening because of the incumbent leaving. And what does she think of? I mean, she's retiring, I understand. What has she had to say about your candidacy?
Yeah, Commissioner Higgins and I am very, very grateful for her leadership. And truly, now that I'm a year into campaigning, I have immense respect for anyone who has ever been a candidate, who chooses to enter this field, this industry. It is very unique and takes a lot from a person, and takes a lot out of the household. And so just immense respect and gratitude for anyone who's ever served, ever run. And that gratitude is definitely extended to Commissioner Higgins. Commissioner Linda Higgins came up through politics in an era when, truly women were not necessarily afforded the same rights that we are today, came up through an era that I get to benefit from. And so I'm very grateful for her leadership. I'm also proud to have earned her endorsement. And Commissioner Higgins and I have visited several times, and she's a supporter, and I feel very honored to have earned her vote, because of course we live in the same district, and I look forward to learning from her.
And in my conversation with Linda Higgins, I've heard her very positive regard for you.
Yes, thank you.
And there are so many other endorsements. I saw at the top there Bobby Joe Champion.
Yes.
I've been to some of his events, and I'm so glad to know he is endorsing you as well.
Yes, definitely. I feel incredibly humbled and honored to have earned the endorsements that I've been able to over this last year. When I first entered this race, there was, as a first-time candidate and whatnot, there was some questions around who might come out to support me, and I'm really, really proud to share that after 15 plus years of being in the community authentically, again, like I said, I co-founded a youth leadership nonprofit, and as a result have been able to serve on many boards, attend different events, and I think that work speaks for itself. And when that work speaks for itself, people have respect for that and have been able to extend their support and lend a hand to me, and that's been incredible. And I'm very, very grateful for how the community has come together and rallied around truly what I see as a movement. In the last couple of years, myself included in this, I've been increasingly understanding the importance of how entwined politics is in our everyday lives. And I urge every single person that is watching, that sees this, to see the ways in which politics is not this kind of separate decision that we make every 6 months or 12 months or every couple years, but politics is the ways in which we are embedding our values into decisions that can make a difference for decades. And that is the type of vision and that is the type of leadership approach that I hope to bring to the County Commission, and that I hope we're able to inspire across all layers of government and throughout the community.
And Irene, how would you characterize those values? Is there one or two or three?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm a very values-oriented leader. And so literally on the wall of my basement, which is also campaign headquarters, I have values that are up that we talk about and that we make sure in every element of our campaign we are emulating. So for example, one of the values around inclusion is, one expression of that is everyone is our voter. And what we mean by that is just because people may not live in the boundaries that can, who might be able to vote for me, doesn't mean they can't benefit from the things that we've been learning. So an example of this is a web series that we started called Commish Dish. So if you go to voteirene.com/dish, We just have a few episodes up, but we, in this very educational manner, which is accessible to both young people, all ages up, we explain what the county commission is and how the county commission might make a difference in someone's life. And so, again, regardless of who watches that, they might be a bit more in tune as to what their county commission is doing. Another example of this is, I believe that we need politicians who are making decisions that help them win, of course, right? That's an important part of campaigning, but also making decisions that invest in the trajectory of politics over the years, over the decades. So an example of that is, as we've learned, as has become more highlighted in the last few months and few years, it is clear that young people, women of color, or indigenous women are often underrepresented in these positions of leadership. And so we are, in our hiring and in our training, making sure that we are carving out ways to prioritize hiring young people, women, and young women of color specifically, so that they're getting trained in organizing, in canvassing, in leading. And so we're not only investing in my win in November, in the community's win in November, but we're investing in future campaign workers and future candidates, which I find to be the most energizing part of the campaign.
And future leaders of other organizations.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So that is different. I've heard remarks that people see your campaigning very differently than most other campaigns we've known.
Yes.
How would you characterize it? Anything further?
Yeah, I believe that the campaign can be characterized in a few ways. One is, I think that if I have a area of improvement or a comment on how something can be better, that I need to emulate that in how I'm behaving. And so the county commission, I was really, really struck the first county commission I went to, county commission meeting I attended, because there was this immense responsibility and impact that sat in that room. But more powerful than that impact, I was kind of shocked and saddened by who was absent from that room. And so, like you mentioned, I may be the first person of color, or among the first people of color to serve on the county commission. And while that's really energizing and inspiring on one hand, on the other hand, that's kind of jarring that in a county of 1.2 million people, we have not yet elected a person of color to sit at that decision-making table.
Yeah, we need to hear those voices too.
Exactly, and so if that's a area that I believe should be improved upon or that I have a concern about, then how in my campaign am I directly embedding those values into it? And so the example with the young women of color that we've hired, that's a good example of it. Another example is this educational approach, also like I mentioned with Commish-Dish. How are we taking the opportunity to not just inform people as to why I may be the best candidate, but also inform people and educate folks on not only is this layer of government important, this is how it's working with other layers of government, and lifting up how from the viewpoint of the resident, this commission is able to work with mayors and city councils and park boards and the legislature to advance for all people. And then the last thing that I would say is my background is both in social entrepreneurship, which is starting a company that is about young people and their leadership, as well as business. So I work at Thrivent currently, which is a corporation that's also a nonprofit, member-owned corporation, which is a really unique environment to be in. And those leadership experiences directly impact how I'm leading this campaign. I'm leading it like an employer would. I'm leading, making decisions in some ways in a business mindset or an entrepreneurial mindset, and that's been a really effective and energizing way to lead a campaign.
Yeah, well, that sounds excellent.
Yeah.
Valuable new ways to campaign. And do you care to say anything more about the business enterprise that you led, that you created?
Oh, sure, yeah. So I was 17 at the time. I had just moved here to attend the University of Minnesota, and I was 10 days into my freshman year of college, and up late at night in the dorm room. I mean, it's a really fun story when you kind of think about it that way. We were just full of ideas, young people wanting to truly kind of change the world. We asked ourselves, wouldn't it be awesome if we as college freshmen could make a difference on our campus beyond our 4 years here? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could take time and really invest and serve into our communities? And truly the question was, wouldn't it be awesome if we could change the world? Like, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And so we set out to do that. And what that looked like our freshman year was doing a community service leadership road trip over our spring break. And so we traveled by charter bus from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. and back, stopped at major cities along the way. We did community service in the morning, travel and tourism in the afternoon, and reflection and leadership activities each evening. And so from 43 people my freshman year to 150 people my sophomore year, all the way to 11 years later, we had served 22,000 students to date. So that's the 11 years that I was there. And
not all from the University of Minnesota.
Correct, yeah. So we were kind of all over the country at that point.
Yeah.
And so I graduated with my undergrad from the Carlson School of Management, and very, very proud of the education that I received there, because it helped us grow business. And by the time I transitioned out of that organization, we had upwards of 15 or so, full-time staff equivalent. Made jobs and recruited people to move to our community, and far more importantly than that, got to meet thousands of incredible people that I've been able to learn from, that inspire me and motivate me, and that's a big reason why I'm running. And how can we create a county that is, works for all people, that is vibrant, that represents a future that we're proud to pass on to future generations. And when I think of the county commission, we're engaging in decisions that make a difference for decades, right? When we make a decision on light rail or other transit solutions, that's not a decision that can be undone easily once it gets going. And so we're shaping behavior for decades. I think that's quite powerful. So we need to have leaders that have the vision to improve upon processes that might be decades or centuries old. We need leaders with the vision and the boldness to make decisions that might make a difference for decades. And we also need leaders who are willing right now to roll up our sleeves and to work across all ideologies and across all backgrounds to make sure that we are advancing some of our most complex issues. And that's why I'm here.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like you really understand what your purpose is. You've thought it through. You've experienced, even in your nonprofit corporation, the preparation for this kind of work.
Exactly. Thank you.
And can you talk about the biggest opportunity or improvement that you hope to see in the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners? Yeah,
there are amazing opportunities at the County Commission. So like any political seat, should I win, have the opportunity to influence, of course, outside of my area as well. And I hope to use that platform and elevate that opportunity to have as many people as possible, running for government positions, applying to work for government roles, and just really, again, increase the profile of this layer of government. The second way that political candidates and politicians can make a difference is, of course, from a legislative standpoint. What are the ways in which we can vote for the types of changes that we want to see happen? I'm really interested in the ways the county commission might be able to serve residents from a housing standpoint, especially if that resident is also engaging with another county service. So county services can include, from healthcare and mental health over to foster care and social work, over to, corrections, juvenile detention. And so with all of those really important areas, very embedded in that is this question on housing and how are we looking at the whole person and serving the whole person as best as we possibly can. And then from an operating standpoint, so influencing, legislating, and operating, this is where I believe the county has the greatest opportunity. So the county is an 8,000 person workforce. Just think about that, 8,000 people. So from an employer standpoint in the state of Minnesota, that's equivalent in size to a Medtronic or a Best Buy. Can you imagine? So when I put it that way, if Medtronic or Best Buy were to engage in some big decision, if a corporation or organization of that size in our state were to add jobs or move jobs or change an initiative, we would be really in the know about that. Like, that's how significant this opportunity is. And so there are spaces within the county that may not require a legislative vote, such as child protection services. You know, can we make a difference in foster care? Yes, I believe we can. When it comes to how people can feel comfortable when they come to the county. If you think about it, the Hennepin County Government Center is kind of like the county's community center. Everyone across the whole county should be able to walk into the government center and feel like they belong there. How are we demonstrating that and showing that in the way it's designed, in the languages that are offered, in who is there to welcome us, in how in gender inclusive restrooms? I mean, how can truly everyone in the county come to the government center? And that should be our test, that every single person feels like they're a part of the community.
And one of the things I notice on the second level, the main level of government center, is that we have free attorneys consultation. People who are trying to wrestle with some legal problem, criminal or
Definitely
civil, can get some help there.
I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, when I'm talking to folks about why I'm running, a lot of times people misunderstand me and think that I have this long list of grievances with the county or something like that. I mean, there's definitely areas of opportunity, you know, and areas that are concerning that we need to improve upon. And the county is also doing some really incredible work. And at times that's not as highlighted as explicitly as it could be. So that example is a wonderful example. We have wonderful mental health services, even some emergency response mental health services. That's a question that I think that I'm excited to convene. If the county is responsible for the 911 dispatch, which it is, and it also has a program called COPE that is designed for those experiencing mental health crises, can we somehow, in some manner, combine those two so that when we're engaging in a 911 call, that we can weave in other things that the county is already doing and already serving in our communities?
Yeah, and we have just about 5 minutes left.
I know, it's so quick.
What would you like to give these last 5 minutes to? Do you want to talk directly to the voter here at the table, or?
I can definitely take the last minute for that. But do you have another question that we could discuss?
I am so pleased with this Hennepin County already, and with how the county commissioner helped me at a crucial point.
Good.
And how that attorney consultation service has helped, and just on and on. I'm proud of Hennepin County, and hope that the public relations of the county, in addition to you commissioners, can have more help to get the word out as
Definitely.
to how we are innovative.
Definitely.
The work on ending homelessness is important right now too. You've got a great, I've interviewed the director of that program. So I know that you have additional ideas, and I'm looking forward to learning them.
Yeah.
And helping support that just as a citizen.
Yeah.
Helping people understand why we ought to support this innovation.
Exactly. Thank you. Well, yeah, and the county is an incredible, important layer of government, and
yes,
Yeah, period. And oftentimes it goes overlooked. Not because my hypothesis why I think that's the case is because I have a shirt at home that says Minneapolis. I represent my city. I have a shirt that says Minnesota. I even have a shirt that says Harrison, which is the neighborhood I live in. But I don't necessarily have a jersey that says Hennepin County on it. And so I think a lot of times when we think of our identities, we kind of skip the county layer, particularly in metro centers and urban centers. When we look into more rural communities, the county commission is very public. There's the county road, there's county-wide days or celebrations. And so in the metro area, $2.4 billion, $2.4 billion on behalf of those who live, work, and play in Hennepin County. And so first and foremost, I want to increase the visibility. I want to demand greater transparency and accessibility as a medium and pathway to strengthening accountability. And so that's less of a commentary of past and more of a commitment for future. A lot of times people say, well, why are you, countering the existing? And that's not necessarily the type of leadership I'm committed to bringing. I'm a bit more of a future-oriented leader with, and I believe in inspiring a shared vision across all of Hennepin County, especially across District 2, which that includes Plymouth, Golden Valley, Medicine Lake, North Minneapolis, Bryn Mawr, North Loop, Northeast Minneapolis, and St. Anthony Village. How can I, earn the votes and understand the issues from the perspective of those who are being impacted by them, from the perspective of those who are implementing those decisions? And that's the type of leadership that I believe 2018 and beyond is craving, is demanding.
Yes.
And so truly, it's less about what's happened last year, last decade, or several decades ago, although that's important context, right? There's stuff we can learn from that context and our history. I'm most excited about the ways in which our decisions today have a direct impact on the behavior and the values and the opportunities and the possibilities for decades to come. And so I very much look forward to getting to know anyone that is interested in the county layer of government, of course, earning the vote of those who live in District 2, and definitely reach out because I want my work to speak for itself, and I want, go to my website, voteirene.com, see what I stand for and who else has supported me, and I look forward to getting to know you.
Well, Irene, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Of helping us get to know what I hope is our next commissioner.
I hope so as well. Sounds good.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. So,
thanks. Nice.